Yeah.
But I bought one from a pretty unknown sire in Ocala who never even made it. I think this horse was probably the best one that it produced at the end of the day. And I ran it. I couldn't sell it. No one wanted to buy it. I don't know why. Probably because it had no pedigree.
Yeah.
And no one had ever heard of the sire. And so I ran it a couple of times, and then it won quite a nice race. And an owner who wasn't an owner of mine, but who I knew a bit, had spoken to, he phoned me up and he said, "Oh, he said, that horse, I said, would you sell it?" He said, "It belongs to you, doesn't it?" I said, "Yeah, I would sell it." So he said, "Oh, how much do you want for it?" I don't want to say the name because if this gets heard by certain people, it's going to could cause a bit of trouble. Not trouble, but I said, "Oh, I think the figure was 30,000. I said, "I want 30,000 for it." And he said, "Okay, I'll speak to my advisor." And I thought, "You've got an advisor?" He just ran a small syndicate. So it was one of the syndicate members, I found out afterwards, who knew nothing about horses. I mean, just nothing. But he used to think he knew everything. And he came back to me and he said, "Oh, I've spoken to my advisor, and he says that you're asking too much money for that horse. It's not worth 30,000. So I said, "That's fine, don't buy it then." So he said, "Oh, okay." That was it. Next time out, and we got it in a better race at Newbury, big race, lots of runners, wins again. Get the phone call again. "See that horse won again?" So I said, "Yeah." He said, "Is it still for sale?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Is it the same price?" I said, No. So he said, "Oh, how much is it now?" I said, "It's 45,000 now." So he said, "Oh, I'll speak to my advisor and come back to you." He came back. He said, "I've spoken to my advisor. He says it's too much." I said, "That's fine. Don't buy it then." So he said, "Oh, okay." I said, "I'll tell you what." I said, "Why don't you, if you're interested, buy half of it and I'll keep half of it." And he said, "Would you?" I said, "Yeah." So he bought half of it based on 45,000, and it ended up, I did work it out at the time, it was quite a few years ago now. I think they ended up, every time it won, they asked if they could buy